Hello, hello, my loves, our dearest listener out there. However you're feeling on the day of this recording, don't you worry, because for the next hour or so, you're going to sit down with me, myself, and I, and the most amazing astrologer, the wonderful Kalpna Tandon. She's a London-based astrologer who is here to empower you with astrology and unlock the magic of your own potential. There is a whole universe inside a person. Your birth chart is a compass to your own intuition. It affirms the subtle nudges you have always felt and the bigger dreams you hold, even the ones you do not fully believe in just yet. Kalpna is so passionate about people knowing their birth charts because self-knowledge changes the way you live. When you understand all aspects of yourself, your strengths, your sensitivities, and your contradictions, you stop trying to mold yourself into someone else's expectations. You begin to live originally. She's particularly drawn to the rising sign, which she sees as the thread running through your whole life. It reveals your patterns and the direction you're moving into in this lifetime. While most people are taught to focus on their sun sign, many feel a deeper resonance with their rising sign because it reflects who they are becoming. Through her work, Kalpna helps you understand yourself with clarity and warmth so that you can move forward with confidence and trust in yourself. Welcome to the podcast, Kalpna.
Thanks, Josie Joe. It's so good to be here. It's so good to be here.
Absolutely amazing. Kalpna, can you just share with listeners what's your first memory of us meeting?
Oh, wow. It's such a good one. An incredible first memory of us meeting. So I think it was the beginning of 2024 when I really needed some self-care, and I signed up to a yoga class at Shoreditch House, and it said aromatherapy yoga, and I was like, that sounds really nice. I just left a job and I was feeling incredibly burnt out. And then I came across Josephine's class, and honestly, it felt like completely aligned and magic the way that we met. You uplifted everyone in the class, including me, and I was like just like blown away by it. I've practiced yoga a lot, and I was just like the positivity and magic that you brought to the class was so cool, and it was such a big part that really lit the fire to my own spiritual awakening, I have to say. And that is the God honest truth. So I'm incredibly grateful to you, Josephine. Like you were such a big part of that, the start of that journey for me. And it was so, so powerful. And if you haven't been to a yoga class of Josephine's or worked with her, I really recommend it because it's just like true magic. It was so cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Kalpna, oh, I'm sending you like a virtual hug, my
But
long
I really mean it. I really mean that. I don't say that lightly. I
arm.
really don't.
I know you don't, and thank you so much. That's just like I'm sitting here like with tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
I was such a big part of this beginning, this new ignition, this I don't want to call it awakening, but I want to call it remembering. I really think it's that thing of our meeting, as well as listeners out there. It's just when you find a kindred soul, you have that moment where you go, the other's words resonates within your own heart, the other's words, the other's touch, the other's whatever. It makes you feel something like it makes you feel deeply seen. And when we are able to recognize those experiences, and when we have enough headspace and maybe have had enough lessons in life to go, oh, I want more of this, because it was a physical, it was a sensed experience. It wasn't like you were there going, oh, I'm supposed to like have this big remembering in my life today. You were just like, okay, like you felt cold, maybe it was the word aromatherapy, whatever it was, right? There was just something that felt like sweetness and softness and home and yum. And then you go there and you're like, yes. And because I remember the first day I saw you, I remember your energy, I remember feeling like, oh my God, there's this beautiful, right now I just have an image of a bird. I know you're not a bird. I had this image of a bird and
Well,
aura, like your aura was so bright. And I just kind of wanted to cocoon you. And every time I saw you subsequently, I always felt this deep sense of resonance between you and I, even though we hadn't really spoken
Mm,
that much. And
I
then
agree.
we bumped into each other on the street a few weeks ago. We had that meeting last week, like just to demonstrate to listeners out there that sometimes, well, actually, for me and you, always in life, like life is always guiding us along the path of release resistance. Like I didn't even know you before you entered my class, but I felt your energy, right? Like your energy speaks before we start to mentally have a cognitive conversation, right? You know, we are met by that frequency, and that's what's so obvious with you, and that's also one of the most amazing things that I feel about you. Just it's your energy and your presence. But all of that being said and done, so here we are,
Yeah.
going like, oh, I love you.
Nice. Love that was an amazing start. That was an amazing start.
Before we go back in time, I want to share with listeners as well. I know some of you are watching on YouTube later, but those of you that are listening, I have a feeling that Kalpna and I are going to go quite deep today. So I feel
Yeah.
called. I am going to burn a little bit of Palo Santo. And again, as a listener, you might be like, damn, Josie, how's that Palo Santo going to help me through the mic? But it does, my babe. It does, because energy is everything. Energy moves before the physical. And so wherever we are, I just want to invite all of us to take a little moment. Kalpna, you too, my love, if you want. We can just close our eyes,
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that.
flame. And
Mm.
wherever you are in the world when you're listening to this, I invite you to just tune into your heart. Maybe place a hand on your heart, just feel your heartbeat. See if you can notice the patterns, the pace, the rhythm. And see if you can just take a little deeper breath. Just invite all of you into the space, inviting all of you into the space, all version, past, present, and future ones too. Call your energy back to you now. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, really landing in your heart, landing in the space, the gaps between your heartbeats, and calling all your energy here. So every moment of your life, from the day you were born, through teenage years, adolescent, has led you to being right here with us right now. Whenever you're listening is always now. So know that this podcast, this episode, Kalpna and I have found you, you have found us. We've called each other in at the perfect time, the perfect place. And whatever comes next is healing for the evolution of your soul and for everyone else that you come into contact with. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Okay, my love. So a little more grounded whenever you're ready. Blinking the eyes open, you're back in the body. Kalpna,
Oh,
sweetheart.
that's the Josephine effect.
Bless you, bless. So tell us, my loves, where were you born? You know, what country, what town, what city?
Mm,
What kind of family structure were you born into? Were you one of many? You know,
yeah.
tell us all.
So I was born in London. So I've lived in London my whole life. And I grew up in a family of immediate six. So I'm one of four. So I've got two elder sisters and a younger brother. I was the third girl with a younger brother. And it's really interesting because I grew up in a really busy house because when I was little, I lived with my auntie and uncle and her two kids, but and also my grandma and granddad. So that's six plus four plus two. So that so it was busy. And then my dad is one of six. Um, and we, our house was almost like the grand central station of our family, where all of my cousins would come. My grandparents lived there, so everyone would just be there all the time. I was always around a lot of people. So I was always around different energies, different types of personalities. I think it is the reason when I walk into a room, I feel things very quickly and I can adapt to people I can feel things out really quickly because there was I was always sort of surrounded by people. And I think what comes with that is sometimes not feeling seen in a way, wholly, because you're constantly around other people and the needs of others. And I think it's a big part of being part of a big family. It's part and parcel of it. So just a very busy childhood, I would say, growing up in London with lots. But I think one thing I will say is the community aspect of it, and like how that's why I love being in a big group. I love a party setting. I love being in a big group of people. I love to, I love being surrounded by lots. I've always been comfortable with being in a big group. It's never scared me, or I don't feel shy, and that's quite nice. But then on the same token, I think with all the self-development that I've done, um, I've had to really learn intimacy through one-to-one conversation. I think that was a really big one for me, is learning how to be vulnerable and just to know that it's okay to be vulnerable. That was a big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I just love, thank you so much for sharing all of this because I'm sitting,
Yeah.
I can almost smell like I'm just, because your heritage is, are you full,
Yeah.
are you half Indian?
Yeah, I'm fully Indian. So I'm Punjabi. So I'm North Indian. So my dad is from Punjab, my mum is from Delhi, and they met here. So we're just a fully crazy Indian Punjabi family.
I love it because
Yeah.
my favorite food is Indian food. So I'm sitting here going, oh my God, your household must have smelled amazing. I
It
mean,
did. It did.
I have this fantasy of this amazing, there's always a woman or maybe a man, but always someone in the kitchen
Yeah,
putting some amazing food together, like this fragrance,
honestly.
cinnamon, cardamom, aniseed, curry, of course. I don't know. I love a good scent. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. It was just like chaos everywhere always, food everywhere always, people everywhere always, and it just the richness of our culture is so amazing, and I was really lucky to grow up with even my grandma and granddad now. Like I kind of sometimes get sad that I maybe took it for granted when you're little. You're like, oh, they're old. But now I'm like, God, they're like, it's like my ancestors, they're so wise and amazing. And yeah, just feel quite lucky actually to have had that time with them, growing up with them in my house.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Will you just please share with us as well, what are your three? So like your sun, moon, and rising, just so listeners.
Oh, yes, my favorite. So yeah, I'm a Capricorn sun, Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising. So just incredibly, just my intuition and that sort of anything soul nourishing is just very amazing for me. Yeah.
Love that. And can I ask your date? So the date of Capricorn, what's your sun and what date are you? So you in December or are you in January?
10th of January,
January. Okay, wow.
91.
We're
Yeah.
absolutely Capricorn. You're not on yet, like, okay, 100.
Oh yeah. It's so interesting. I'm a Capricorn, but I right now I'm fully in my Scorpio.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think when we first started, when I met you, I wasn't there yet.
Mm,
I hadn't fully embodied my Scorpio. And
mm,
that was what was really powerful about the pivotal point of that moment was, really going into the depths of like my psyche, my subconscious, and really exploring like astrology was
mm.
like, wow, I understand myself. I know why I feel that I know why I'm a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio rising because I've had to go through a lot of transformation in my life, a lot of like death and rebirth moments even in big and in the big ways of family early family deaths or things that my mum had experienced in her early life, but also even just as little as like you know work. I've worked at many different places, and it's very much a part of the transformative energies of being a Scorpio, I think, of being a Scorpio rising. And as you sort of said in my intro, I'm very big on the rising sign because I think people have this amazing aha moment when they when they know what theirs is. They're like, oh, that makes so much sense because it feels like the energy of what I'm being asked to step into in order to grow.
Oh, I mean, I love this. And I always, you know, we're going to go into depth with this a little bit more, especially for listeners out there where you're like, I know a bit about astrology, but I don't really understand, what does moon mean? What does rising mean? And there's so much more, but we're going to stay
Yeah.
a little bit, in the easier, in the lighter zone today, just so that everyone can kind of follow along and get something really juicy out of today's episode. But thank you so much for sharing that, because what's really interesting, again, for listeners, if you haven't met Kalpna on YouTube, you have this, so like you have such a grounded energy about you. Like I literally feel like I drop deeper in my seat when I'm in your presence. My exhales are a little longer and my bones feel a little bit more grounded and rooted, and that's just from like being in your presence. So for me, I'm definitely like sensing the Capricorn. Then of course as well, knowing about your sensitivity and your sensitivity, your willingness to dive deep, to feel, to be the detective, which is also
Yeah.
type of the Scorpio, and of course the absolute death and rebirth, the Plutonian energy, which is amazing. So we've got this amazing mix of you today, and I really love that moon and rising of Scorpio. Like you've got that big emphasis of like,
Yeah. Whew.
we don't mess around with this, babe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit random, but we'll throw in a Scorpio. It's like, no, this is 100%. You've got that Scorpio.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love
It's
it.
like we're gonna go deep. We're gonna go deep with you.
100%. Now, let's take you forward in time a little bit. So this is where you started out in London. Whereabouts in London?
Croydon, so Greater London. So yeah, south, very south London.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you were around, so let's take you into like, maybe you were between the ages of 12 and 15. What did you dream? What did you dream of? How did you dream that your life would turn out? Not just in terms of work, but what were your dreams? So like Kalpna, who was like between the ages, like, begin pre-teenager and then teenager. What was sort of like your life vision?
Oh, they're such formative years, aren't they? Where like you go through, God, I was so angsty at that age. I had like the full on emo teenage angst going on in such a big way. I think it was, yeah, that was the time I really found English literature, and I was just obsessed with poetry. They had this anthology at school with poets like Simon Armitage and Carol Ann Duffy and studying Shakespeare. I think I'm just a really old soul. And when I found these things, it just spoke to me so much. And I think yeah, I always had dreamt of going into writing in some way or doing that. And it's interesting, even after I discovered my birth chart and my third house is in Capricorn, and there's so many planets in Capricorn, and I've been told before, like, you have to, you're going to be a writer at some point. And I love, I write poetry, I put that out there. But I want to do it more. But I feel like that was a real, just, I just think that sense of writing but then astrology is really interlinked with that, I think, with psychology, human behavior. It's very poetic astrology because it's all about mythology as well. So it's really related. I just didn't know that at that time. So it's super powerful. I've always loved music as well, and have always dreamed of doing something like artsy. And I did work in music. I did work in music for a time. I did social media for music artists, and actually that was the job that I left when we met because it burnt me out quite badly. Got to work with amazing people. Um, and I know I'm jumping around from the time period of 12 to 15, but actually I got to, I think I sort of, I worked with Alicia Keys at 12 to 15. I was obsessed with her. Completely manifested that, I think, really, because that was that was a crazy, amazing experience. Um, but yeah, I definitely knew from an early age that music would be a big part of my life because I was just incredibly obsessed with it. And I
Mm.
think where your attention goes, energy flows. And that's really what happened with me. It just kind of happened at the right time that I got into music. But yeah, I still dream of, having like a typewriter and just writing to my heart's content. Astrology really feels like something that feels incredibly aligned. And then Yeah, I think anything that really fills that my soul just loves anything to do with the arts. I think I
I
must have been like Shakespeare's mistress in a past life or something.
100%, 100%. It also makes sense because, like, so, Scorpio, and I mean, I love a Scorpion energy. I already told you my mom is Scorpio.
Yeah.
The most,
Yeah.
so it's like, and then my dad, like his Mercury, his Venus, Scorpio, like, it's a very close,
Wow.
my own Mercury is in Scorpio, so
Yeah.
a lot, my 11th and 12th house, there's a lot of Scorpio in.
Yeah. Karmic debt and Scorpio. Mm.
But then there's also the other thing that you feel so much. And what art does more than anything, it gives you full permission to express those feelings.
Wow. It does.
So for me, I started out in life as a ballerina. I was at the Royal Danish Ballet. But meanwhile, I was in there. We were also acting, we were singing, we were doing everything. We were writing. So for
Oh,
me, like when I was a kid, I wanted to either be a writer, an actress, or a dancer, right? And so, but it was always about expression. And so for me,
yes.
and again for listeners out there, it's not about, if you want to express, it doesn't matter if anyone is paying you to write or paying you to sing or even watching you do any of that. All that matters is that you continue to seek out pathways where you feel like you can express yourself and you allow yourself to see a part of your soul, a part of your heart's longing, and I think that's really like what is so potent as well with your Scorpio. I know this is turning into like a personal session with me and Kalpna.
Oh, I love it.
But it's just, but it's this thing because you've got all that, you've got so much Capricorn energy. And for people out there,
Yeah.
Capricorn, you're the earth sign. You're also one of the latest earth signs. So, you've got
Yeah.
more earth there. Then you've got the builder, the systematic, the boom, like there's so many systems in there, which is amazing. It's such a good,
Absolutely.
but you need something to flow because otherwise it's stuck and it's a lot of energy.
Yeah, and also I think Capricorn is very empirical and it can represent that sort of father archetype, can't it?
This kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's almost like, you've got to merge. That's why people's birth charts are so interesting because we all, I think in life we think we're just one thing. We all kind of get told, okay, you're your sun sign, and then you learn about your chart, and I'm like, oh wow, like all that water energy makes so much sense because I felt so much at such an early age. I could feel things for people, and then it's so beautiful when you interact with other people because like you were saying with me, I mean, I love the air energy with your chart because I think it's so important that the relationships and the connections that you have with people are ones that can, complement you and also help you grow. And it's good to be around people that elevate you and make you feel lighter. Like I think I'm quite a dense person. So, I get told I'm quite like intense, and I'm like, oh gosh, I know, I can't help it. This is just who I am.
Oh, Calvert, babe, you're so beautiful, and I love that. And I think if not to say anything against the people, but if people tell you that, it's just not your people, and that's not to say they're not nice people.
Yeah.
Just to say it's the combination, right? So again, for listeners out there, whether you're into astrology or not, I'm hoping you are since you're still listening. So there we go. But we all, we consist of so many different elements. And it's always about, whether or not your particular dynamic with another person, whether
Yeah.
you complement each other, whether you dance together, like you've got a yin yang, you've got a bit of a resist and pull, what kind of dynamic it creates, right? So it's never like they're a bad person, I'm a good person. It's the combination of the two because one person's poison is another person's medicine, right? So it's really,
Yeah.
those situations where we find ourselves in the same way. That's why astrology is, I mean, I'm so obsessed with this because
Yeah.
there's always more to I don't even want to call it learn because I don't see it as something that you take for a fact and a truth. You look at it and you can explore it the way you explore your wardrobe and you go, huh,
Definitely.
up today, right?
For sure. And I think it also really speaks to the simplicity of humans when you actually really boil it down with astrology because it's earth, fire, air, water, and which is what we're all made up of, which is what the world is made up of. So when you learn that about yourself and then about other people, it starts to just make so much sense as to why you are the way you are. And when you identify those things with just something as simple as the elements, you're like, wow, it's not as complicated. Life isn't as complicated as we think it is. And that's like, that's true ancient wisdom. I think it's just powerful.
So powerful, and actually linking it to, also in terms of people's environment, right? So we have people
Yeah.
that actually they really thrive in colder, cooler climates, and we have
Yes.
thrives in warmer climates, right? I'm a warm climate person. Actually,
Same.
it's way too cold for me. But it's,
Me too.
and then we have the people that really need, we call them more introverted, but they need more spaciousness, they need more quietness. And then, like you, I love that you called it. You were brought up almost in a central train station. Me too. So for me, it's always been that thing that I was so used to having like to go to sleep with the sound of voices in the background, and if I didn't have that chatter, I couldn't fall asleep. So we are,
Yeah.
we are so different, and which is weird and wonderful, and one of the most exciting things about the human experience. My love, I want to jump forward in time a little bit because you
Yeah.
like dive into everything, which I
Do
love.
it.
Now, astrology, because now you are an astrologer. Now,
Yes.
is astrology something you were always into? Remember, remind us. Think back to a time in your life that you recall being one of your first moments of being, ooh, there's a thing called astrology. Just first memory that comes to mind.
Oh gosh, that's hard, but I think anything to do with mythology, storytelling, I've always been obsessed with. I think like I loved the like witches and Macbeth, and that was always really like Scorpionic. And I think we talked about that. And just like and all of that kind of like magic in general, I've always been really interested in. Like I love the film like Practical Magic, and I just my mum is a Scorpio. My mum is a Scorpio sun and moon, and like Halloween and she was born on Halloween actually. And I always felt really attuned to that because of her.
Mm.
Um, and I think that always got me really interested in when people were born. And I think being a part of a big family. Also, my brother is born the day after me, but 2 years apart. And my cousin is born a few days after me, but 1 year apart. So and my sister's also a Capricorn and was born on the 29th of December. So we had so much Capricorn energy in our charts, in our family system, that I was so fascinated by it.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
what date is your mom in November or is she in October?
She's a Halloween, so she's 31st of
Sorry,
October.
you said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, that's so interesting. So
I
you've
know.
much Capricorn, amazing. To really
So
like
much. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, to really like ground her in earth, I think. Yeah. Because she's an incredibly deep woman. She's incredibly her intuition's really strong. It's something that comes really natural to her. And I think, yeah, we were probably all born just to be like, hey, we're on this earthly plane. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this. Okay, so
And actually, that's interesting because my sister's a Taurus. My eldest sister's a Taurus. So that's another earth sign. So she's got four earth babies.
it's also
Yeah.
the sign of Scorpio. So, Taurus sits right opposite Scorpio.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's another like,
Ding,
okay.
ding, ding. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it, and it also kind of jumps us into the whole ancestral healing through astrology, which I'm
Yeah.
into. But we shall not go there just yet because I want to go back to you and your own astrology journey. So, as you said, this is something that's kind of always been there with you, always something you've been aware of, and I also really love this thing because the fact that your mom was born on Halloween and Halloween
Yeah.
a lot of kids is fun, but it's also a bit scary, right? So it's that thing of from really early age, you've been celebrating something
I know. It's so true.
Humor in that as well is amazing, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting as well now that I think about it because it's kind of around the same time that Diwali is.
Right.
So, and that's all about light over darkness. And I think you kind of it's all about duality, the duality of life, light and dark. And I think that that's always something that's been celebrated in my family because even the way death is treated, in Hindu culture is all around there's so much ceremony around it and it's not something that I am afraid of, actually. It's not something I'm afraid of. Yeah, I'm very Scorpio.
Okay, okay, let's just, so everyone, again, all listeners, let's breathe in and receive that amazing, powerful statement from Kalpna. I am not afraid of death. Let's just take 3 breaths with that. Deep breath in and really landing in that. So again, breathing in this powerful statement, this beautiful medicine. I am not afraid of death. Deep breath in and exhale. And the last one, I am not afraid of death. Inhale and exhale. I love that. The complete embodiment, so beautiful. Death as transformation, death
Yeah,
rich, death as the ending of something is the beginning of something else, and also death is not
absolutely.
a necessity. I have beautiful roses here. If I don't allow them to die, I can't stop them from dying, but I also, the more I try and stop them and hold the petals together, the more agony I will be in, right? We have to allow them to essentially die their natural death, and then new ones can become, and then, they will go into the earth, etc. It's such a beautiful, like, who am I to sit here and try and hold on to them?
Yes.
It's
Oh yeah, that's powerful, isn't it? I definitely think I've had to learn that though, like the art of not being afraid. And also I think that's all about control in life, isn't it? Like non-attachment.
I mean,
It's yeah.
which is, again, I mean, as you know, but listeners out there, one of the ultimate lessons for a Scorpio, the art of letting go.
We
There's,
hold on.
wow!
We hold on. I can safely say that is this is why I love astrology because you really are like it's true. It's just so true. We hold till death do us part. Till death do us part.
Devotion knows no end.
Yes,
Devotion is to something that actually might no longer be serving us, right? Which is a really interesting
absolutely.
aspect of that archetype within
Yeah.
Scorpio. So, yeah. Okay, we will transfer on. Here we go.
Yeah.
After the little light-hearted momentum of the
I know.
affirmation.
Yeah.
Love it. Live and
I
let
know. I love it too. I love it. It's good.
Anyway, Kalpna. Okay, so here you are. You and I meet in 2024. I think you mentioned this is the time where you had again let go of
Yeah.
the old version of you that was doing the social media. Was this for Alicia Keys or some music industry, right?
Yeah, so I worked at a music agency and I worked with lots of different artists as part of that. And she was one of them, yeah.
Amazing. I mean, and
Yeah.
also the fact that it was keys. So, haha, like it's such a cute little link to your next line.
Oh, I know. And you know what? She's an incredibly spiritual person.
Mm.
An awesome artist, like really incredible.
But it makes so much sense, and it also makes so much sense that you would have been drawn to her because across all time and space, across all religions, all scriptures, sound is everything. And so
Yes.
her specific sound, and the same thing, what you probably recognized in my class is more than the yoga poses, is what I spoke, it's the words I used, and it's the sound that I used
100%.
with, right? Exactly.
I would say that's the biggest thing that I took away from it was the positivity you spoke into that class, the way that you spoke. It was honestly everything.
Well, as are you. But just
Yeah.
to like make that link with, again, with Alicia,
Yeah.
like there are amazing singers in this world, but the fact that you and her connected,
Yes,
100%, just a reflection of one another, it makes sense.
it does.
And I love that. I love when things really make sense. So we are like, okay, well, we can make it woo woo, but actually, this is science. It's a free.
Yeah, it's so alignment is science, isn't it, really? Like it's, I think Einstein says that if you're, I can't remember the quote, but he was as much into mystery and magic as he was into science. So, I mean, that's,
Worlds, and the two worlds are the same.
yeah,
They don't
absolutely.
in the day, the church came in at some point and they're like, people must choose. We cannot have faith and science. And we were like, well, the two worlds are the same.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? A lot of the time it's language, isn't it? It's language. It's the language we're using might be different, but we're all speaking from the same hymn sheet. And also I think the biggest thing I've learned from I've gone deep into lots of spiritual exercises and modalities, and I would say the biggest thing I've taken away from all of them is your thoughts create your reality. And when you realize that that's the red thread through everything that you're doing, it just really helps you to know that actually it all starts as within, so without. It's so much about how you feel about yourself and the things that you're telling yourself every day, and knowing that it has the power to just change your day so magically. That's what the biggest thing that those magical moments in your day are not that they're all about how you're treating yourself like each morning, I think.
100%. And
Yeah.
you know what I think is so beautiful about that as well? I just had this inspiration. I got this like download of imagine, because right now, we are communicating through a shared language where that
Yeah.
started, okay, we both belong to a group of people that are choosing English as our way, our main method of
Yeah.
communication today on this podcast, right? But imagine all choices, and I know we take them for granted, but it's true. Imagine if I just decided to communicate through sound, so not even words, just sounds weird. So we could be like Teletubbies, like doo doo.
I love Teletubbies.
All I mean to say is imagine, every single thought we have. And if we think of the same thought for long enough, it creates a pathway within the brain. Now it's a repetition. Now you have an emotion. Now you think it's real. Now you think it's you, right? So now
Yeah.
imagine that every time you noticed, imagine that these thoughts that you think for long enough, imagine that you heard them as a sound. So instead of hearing them as a, as a sentence, as words, imagine you just went, like a really beautiful, or
Yeah.
right? Or like kind of nice, soothing, like, this,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right? But then imagine the other one's like, like it's harmonious, right? We were,
Yeah.
we were like, no. And then it would be so easy to fine tune ourselves because we would just go, right?
That is so true. And that's why when you do that, it makes such a difference to my life. When you're like, ah, I love it. It's so good.
Right?
Yes, but you're right. You're right.
I
Yeah.
know we did like a side note, but it was just that thing again of going, your experience with Alicia Keys was not random, and it was a
Yeah.
you know, you and her, you resonate on a similar frequency, and all you're doing,
Mhm.
we're meeting each other and remembering one another and going, oh my God, yeah.
Definitely.
There's a sense of
Definitely.
oneness here, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so then 2024, you walk into my room,
Woohoo.
into the space, and at this point, you've chosen to choose a new path to create some space,
Yeah.
something go. You did that little death. You went through the transformation. You
Oh yeah.
okay, I'm not sure where I'm going or what I'm doing, but I've created the space for it, right?
Yeah.
What comes next, or where do you choose to go? When does this whole fully stepping into astrology take place for you?
Yeah, it wasn't an immediate thing. And it took a lot of self-development and looking into myself. And first and foremost, giving myself a break. I think that was the best thing I ever did, was giving myself a break from work in general, just for a period of time where and a lot of it was about me, thinking, do I need to go back to a full-time role? And you have like your moments of like speaking to different people, but a lot of it just wasn't aligned with what I wanted to do anymore. And I think, so much of the last 2 years have been about me. artfully letting go of an old version of me. And, I created an agency that was my own in marketing, which is, it's called Vibe Worthy. It's more kind of focused on, it's got a lot of spiritual energy in the brand, and it's all about positivity. And I think it was really important that I just created something of my own that wasn't anyone else's. And I think that was the biggest thing that I needed to do. But, within that is the journey of entrepreneurship. And that is, I think that's an incredible initiation into your own personal development. And that's what really took place with me, is realizing that if you're going to have your own business, you need to level up as your own person. And I had to do a lot of soul searching. I had to do incredible amounts of nervous system like resetting in order to take on what is quite a daunting thing to do in life, which is to go out there and ask people to believe in you when you haven't necessarily built up a business in the way that other, big corporates, big people who are working with big brands are doing. And then within that, so much personal development took place, so much yoga with you, so much Reiki, so much work into my own self. I had my own astrology readings with other people. I studied my chart so deeply to fully understand myself. And it just took off. And then I started to like really look into like people I fancied. I looked into their birth charts, into my family's birth charts. I just became incredibly obsessed with it. And I think, as my Scorpio moon and rising, I love anything deep and soul nourishing and connected to the just what is underneath the subconscious. I loved that it was all about the subconscious. And when you have something that it just lit that fire within me, I love to talk about it. I light up when I talk about astrology. Like it just fills my cup so much that it just was a natural evolution. And then I found an amazing woman called Eliza, and she's from Ecuador, and she taught me a lot about astrology. She actually, I learned from her for a period of time all about astrology, and actually she gave me a real groundedness into my knowledge of astrology now, and she still helps me with astrology, which is really powerful. And I've had lots of incredible aligned experiences. I mean, just recently I was in a yoga studio near where I live, and I had a very serendipitous meeting with Fran Oddy, who I know you've had on the podcast before.
Oh,
Um,
oh my God. You know what's so wild? So I had
yeah,
a podcast, yeah, like a few months ago. But what's also wild is I met her in a yoga class. It wasn't mine. I was in a yoga class like
really?
maybe like a year and a half ago or something. And it was so weird. I sat down and then she looks at me and she's like, "Are you Josephine?" And I'm like, yoga
Really?
house. And I was like, that will be me.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
She was like, I've heard so much about you. I've heard so many good things about you. I'll come to your class one day. And, then life took off and she never came. She came later, but she didn't come. And then I started my podcast and I can't remember. I reached out to her somehow and she was like, yes, I'd love to be on your podcast. And since then she came to my class and, she's
Amazing. I love that.
well.
That's an incredible, because I met her the day before I was going to Sri Lanka, and I she ended up staying in my flat whilst I was in Sri Lanka. She's also, I'm Ben and now, like, because of that, there's lots of astrology teaching that I'm receiving from her, and that was an incredibly aligned synchronistic meeting. And when you get the universe says this is what you're meant to do, that it's just an amazing thing. And how we're all so connected as well.
Oh my God, I love this.
It's so good. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Okay, so, oh my God. Okay, so Kalpna, okay, well, this is all so, so, so beautiful. I really love it. So, where you at in your life? right here, right now. So how do
Yeah.
people find you? Are you online? Do you have an Instagram? Do you have a website? Like what?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. My link in bio is where you're able to book a reading with me. I post a lot about the new moons and full moons on my Instagram. And I do in person and online. And yeah, and I do events as well. So I've hosted an event with Chai Guys. I just did back-to-back readings for Rani and Co., a jewelry brand who is launching their Zodiac collection on Wednesday. I am doing an event with Roof Gardens soon. And yeah, some other things are on the card. So, and just enjoying, I love to hold space. For people, in a big group because I love a big group, but then that soul to soul connection with a one-to-one reading to really help people have the keys to their chart and really understand their own intuition. That's what I really want to do with people is affirm people's own intuition with my readings. It's not about me telling you or telling you things about yourself or predicting your future. It's just giving you a framework to affirm what you already know about yourself. I think that's what I love about astrology so much.
No, absolutely. And I also think that's also what I love about you so much, Kalpna, because this is such an empowering approach to psychology, sorry, to astrology, which is also
Yeah.
it's such
It feels very psycho. Yeah, I think that's why we keep the Freudian slip keeps coming up because it's like the Carl Jung approach to
that's
astrology.
That's exactly it. And you know what's so funny? Because again, listeners out there, Kalpna and I are in the making, in the planning phases of creating a very special event together. But funnily enough, I have been thinking about the name and what kept popping up. And this will not be the name, I think, but I just keep hearing the psychology of astrology, the psychology of astrology,
Ooh.
the ology of astrology. So it's like interlinking, interweaving all these different aspects, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean I look, there's totally something in that because it's exactly it, isn't it? It's helping on people understand that astrology is so much about patterns, behavioral patterns that happen in life, ancestral patterns. So when you understand that, it really is psychological.
Oh, 100%. And it
Yeah.
also, I mean, I was just this afternoon, I was having a deep dive into my own ancestral healing and looking at the water houses in my chart and
Yeah.
some patterns there. And, which has already prompted me to make my phone call to my mom later this afternoon. So it's,
Love that.
but that's it, right? But this is what's so beautiful. There's so many ways in which we can work with this. I want to ask you, if someone who is listening here today and who's like, oh, I love astrology, but I don't really know where to go next. Kalpna, you said so on your LinkedIn and on your Instagram, you talk a lot about the new moons and the full moons, right? So these are kind of free, accessible resources where people can start diving
Yeah.
and start
Yeah.
to know you
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, my link in bio, and also my Instagram, but also in general, where I would start, because I think it's such an amazing thing that should be democratized, and I think if people want a deep dive and a reading, yes, definitely come to me. But there are amazing resources out there where you can immediately find the keys to your chart. So I would say like having your birth time is really important because you want to go on there's websites like astro.com or astroseek where you can have a look at your birth chart and you can find out your sun, moon, and rising. That is a really good place to start. There's a bird that's just come on my yeah, that's a good confirmation. But yeah, that having understanding your sun, moon, and rising is a very good place to start. And that's a powerful thing to just if you're that's your gateway into astrology. There are apps like The Pattern, which I think is a really good app to start understanding and getting under the skin of astrology. And that just helps you to like fully understand the psychology of it, but also just to have like stories told to you about yourself. It's got really good audio features on there. I really recommend that app because it was also a big part of my own gateway into astrology. So yeah, that's really good. There's definitely lots of different people on Instagram that we can maybe put in the notes, or but I think it's a community, right? And I learn from everyone, and I soak up every inch of astrology and all the different people, all the different podcasts. So yeah, that's I would just start though with your own birth date, your birth time, and figuring out what your sun, moon, and rising is, and going from there. And once you have that, things will start to unfold quite naturally.
100%. And I think this is such a key in, in your story, in my story, in everyone's story, is that thing of you follow it because you can't not. You follow it because it keeps calling you.
Yes.
If it's for you, it will keep calling you. And so it's a feeling, if for listeners out there, again, if this has inspired you, empowered you, somehow made you feel seen, somehow made you perhaps get curious on understanding yourself a little bit better, understanding loved ones better, understanding your own behaviors, your own patterns, your challenges, your sensitivities, also your powers, all of it. And then, I think everything that you mentioned, Kalpna, is so strong, but especially that thing of just trust that if you have a high interest in something, even if this is the first time you ever hear of astrology, like you're like, yeah, okay, sun, but rising, moon, whatever, and we haven't even spoken about the houses or anything else, or the squares and all of the sextile, all of that. But if today's conversation has sparked something within you, follow that, trust that, because this is exactly how you live your life. Kalpna is exactly how I live my life. And like it's there for a reason. The spark that keeps sparkling, it's there for a reason. So follow that. And yes, I'll put all of your links, Kalpna, in the show notes so people can find you. Obviously, I'll send out the info on my Instagram once Kalpna and I have our confirmed event, and you guys there. It'd be so nice. Finally, Kalpna, because I know we're running out of time, I want to ask you. This is a beautiful, beautiful part of the podcast that I always hear from people, and it was actually also the reason why I created the podcast in the first place. When you look back over your life, from being born in Croydon, being one of a huge, big, wonderful, colorful, amazing, spicy household, spicy in terms of beautiful spices. I'm sure lots of personalities there, being one of 4 kids, lots of sisters, your younger brother, all of that. When you look back your whole life, Kalpna, with everything you've been through, everything you said yes to, everything you said no to, with the wisdom you sit in today, not just your own, but the wisdom of your ancestors, speaking on behalf of those that can no longer speak. If you had just 1 or 2 messages for humanity, like a soul message, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Soul message. Just love conquers all. Trust your gut. Trust your soul. And just lead with your heart at all costs. And just don't be afraid of your dreams. Just don't be afraid of your dreams. Just go for it.
I love that so much. It's been such a pleasure having you here. I have loved every single minute, and I cannot believe how quickly this hour went by. This is wild, right?
It went so fast. Oh my gosh, it was so great.
I just did a quick glance on my clock, and I was like, oh my God, we have to wrap this up.
I know. It went really quick.
So fast. And I was sitting here thinking, but we're going to deep dive into
I know.
people to understand, what the sun governs.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, well, but listen, I might, if you would be up for it, I might ask you back on a number 2, and we can
let's do it.
And we can do like a full on.
Yeah, like a workshop-y. Yeah.
Wonderful, and I'm sure listeners out there, you would love this too. So this whole like Kalpna and Josie get to know your signs.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Let's do that.
And maybe we call that one the psychology of astrology. And then
it's a good precursor to the event as well.
Exactly. I think we'll do something like that. But Kalpna and listeners out there, I wish you the best day. Kalpna, stay on the line, please. And listeners out there, thank you so much for being with us. The world needs you exactly as you are. Keep following the light and the joy. Thank you, thank you, thank you.